Time for another Soccer Down Here 1v1, and I guess technically this will be a 2v1 rush this time around on Soccer Down Here, and we're catching up with folks behind the USL NOLA project. Time to catch up with Warren Smith and Jamie Guin to find out all of the 5 W's or 4 W's and a Y perhaps. Gentlemen, thanks for hanging out with us for a 2v1 odd man rush.
Thanks for having us, John.
All right, so since there's 2 of you and only 1 of me, let's figure, and we'll do the questions, I guess, snake draft style. I have a number between 1 and 10 in my head. Warren, pick a number.
5.
Jamie?
Number 1.
Okay, Warren was closest. It was 7. So Warren gets to answer first with all the questions we go. And we'll go snake draft with all the questions that we've got here. First and foremost, Warren, congratulations. I know that you've done stuff like this before in franchises in Sacramento and San Diego. What attracted you to doing the USL NOLA project?
Oh, my goodness. Thank you for the question. It's a time in my life to actually pick and choose rewarding and fun work. And, obviously the game continues to grow. Our league continues to grow. And frankly, they asked me to take a look at the market and see if I might have some interest in it. I came down here and had a fun little trip, just talking to people and with no agenda, and just kind of fell in love with the culture, the people, the way of being, and it's a community that represents all 4 corners of the world. So it makes sense that we'd actually bring the game that's played in all 4 corners of the world.
Jamie, as the one who is the local, spent time with the Pels, spent time in soccer at Sporting and LAFC, and knows what it's like. We'll get into the arena stuff and the stadium stuff down the line here a little bit. What's it like to bring something like this home?
Memorable, once in a lifetime. I mean, the words could go on for days here, but I think it's fortunate, blessed, and humbled to be a part of this journey.
So since we're in snake draft format, Jamie, next question to you. What was your first soccer experience in Louisiana?
It's a great question. I haven't had one, honestly. I'll be quite honest. I wasn't a soccer player as a kid growing up here. I was a stick and ball guy. And I didn't get my first soccer experience until I moved from NOLA in 2012. When I was being recruited to go to launch the Sporting Kansas City relaunch, and that was my first foray into soccer.
So, Warren, what has it been like for you then to see the game grow and evolve to this point where you're in non-traditional soccer markets in the USL Championship that have turned into incredible success stories, like New Mexico United is one, Sacramento obviously. Chased after Major League Soccer for a while. They've been successful there at Hard Health. What's it been like to see the game grow and evolve to this point where you can get it into these 4 corners of the United States now?
Yeah, thank you, John. We just came back from the mid-year meetings with the USL from Louisville, right? Who would have thunk that you'd actually have a team in Louisville, Kentucky that is actually leading the league in really all metrics. I mean, they're great on the field. They've built, almost a 14,000 seat stadium. They've built a $35 million training center. They added a NWSL team, and it was soccer crazed. I've always been one that's kind of on the front end of technology and front end of kind of movements, and it's been really interesting to learn over the course of the last 8 years since I got back into the game again. It's like how slowly and yet how quickly people are catching on. The young people are the ones that are quick. They're ultimately changing the game, changing the world, and changing their local communities. But it's always the older folks, people my age, they're the slow ones to come around. And you start talking about it and they say, yeah, soccer's growing. It's really, but you start asking them details they can't tell you anymore. You ask the kids and they'll tell you that they're watching Saturday mornings, they're watching the national games. And anyways, it's so cool to see. It's now the number 2 sport, ages of 12 to 24 years old. right behind the NFL. And so you look at those numbers and where could this thing go? Where could it go as the other sports continue to get older and this continues to grow?
And Warren, you mentioned about growth and coming from those meetings in Louisville, what they've done there with Lynn family and all these kinds of facilities that we stare at in USL Championship that are efforts of these individual owners to make their marks in these markets now with these standalone stadia or something that is multi-purpose, multi-use. We're seeing that a lot in USL Championship and lower divisions, in USL League One specifically, where these markets are doing and having these stadia that are these event places where it's work, live, play almost when it comes to what they're looking at now. When it comes to what you're looking for with USL NOLA, what kind of a stadium are you looking for? Is there a facility in mind? Are you going to build one from scratch? I know that we're looking at 2025 for all this stuff, but that's going to get here sooner than we think.
Yeah, a great question, and we're still studying it. It's obviously one of the first things that we looked at. We've studied the market and at length, looked at 17 different projects areas or existing facilities. And like every other city in the country that has been before them, New Orleans hasn't had the beautiful game just because they don't have a place where you can play it and meet the standards. As you know, you need to meet a 70 yard wide field, and most American football stadiums are 65 yards. So you don't have a lot of facilities. And that was the problem in the very beginning, as you know, with MLS and as USL continued to grow. And so we're dealing with that here. So we will either have to retrofit an existing facility. There's a former AAA baseball stadium here called Shrine on Airline that is only got the rugby team, the local rugby team, the NOLA Gold playing there, and could frankly use a tenant. And then there's some other opportunities that we're exploring. We want to engage the community though and understand what they want, so that at the end of the day, we're delivering something that they helped to create. The one thing I'd add, back to the Lynn family and John Neese and Christopher Harding, who are, the owners up there, our teams mean a lot to their communities, and all of our owners are really more interested in community and community development and using this sport as a tool to make their communities a better place to live, work, and play. Which is why, I frankly love this, and I love the ability to actually help NOLA become even greater. And it's so cool to see, right? So you just keep investing further when you can show that the community that you're actually delivering what they want, right? But you got to lay the groundwork first. You got to start with a place to play. In our league, you're familiar with what we probably did in Sacramento. We built a modular facility in year one. So that's an option. We could, outfit an existing facility. The likelihood of us building something from scratch this early on that's full brick and mortar is small, right? Because you got to start building your brand, see how the community responds, like Louisville did. And so anyways, very excited to help solve that problem, but most importantly, we want the people of New Orleans to actually weigh in here.
So then, Jamie, what's it been like to bring this mission back home for you? Has your phone been blowing up? What's it been like? Do you have unlimited text in the long distance? What's it been like?
The feedback / just buzz has been really encouraging, and honestly, it's probably exceeded our expectations, because we didn't know what we didn't know as it relates to when we launched last Thursday is what the feedback was going to be. But what we've seen, both just from the marketplace at large, and then as to your question about my inbox and text inbox getting blown up, the short answer is yes. I think most people are very positive, very upbeat about it. They're just as eager as some of the questions you're asking us now is, when are we playing? Where are we playing? And just the tactical stuff, right? And so I think the market is really going to rally behind this, and the way that we're going to approach it as it relates to building it with the community and for the community is going to really set us apart and set us up for long-term success.
Jamie Guin, Warren Smith, part of the USL NOLA project, spearheading the USL NOLA project, coming online in a couple of years in USL. Here for a soccer down here odd man rush for a 2v1. So back to you then, Jamie. With your time that you spent in sporting and at LAFC, what do you think you can bring from those MLS experiences and your time there growing in the soccer industry to this USL NOLA project that you've learned there that you can bring here?
Yeah, I think those are both really milestone moments for me personally in my journey and career, if you will. And there's definitely key learnings that are complementary in both of those examples. And then there's some unique standalone ones that, you can add to your toolbox in aggregate. And so I guess the ones that are complementary to each other is fan first, right? So building everything around the fan experience, right? And then I guess the second would be community first, right? So if you do both of those things, right, which those kind of overlap, you really are putting yourself in a really unique position to be successful earlier than maybe most, right? So I think that's probably the short answer is build the brand, build the club, invite the community to participate. And if you listen and then react with solutions and feedback based on what you heard, that's where the magic starts to get made.
So does this mean that Nandina's is going to be the official food supplier for the club?
Well, that's a great question. Warren and I talk about what our kind of unique points of differentiation are all the time. And, one of the things that we keep coming back to is how do we really set ourselves apart globally within all sports? Because we are in one of the food epicenters of the world, and I'm biased a little bit there, but I think most would agree, even if you're not from here. I think that we have a really unique opportunity to draw up a unique culinary program, and we've got a couple really cool ideas around that that we're thinking through right now with some, whether that's established, more iconic chef-inspired things, and then we're even thinking about the next generation, right? The future iconic chef, and how do we kind of blend those two? And to Warren's earlier point, how do we weave in the four corners of the world cuisine in a really unique way and kind of make that complement the beautiful game?
So then, Warren, let me ask you this, and obviously this will be a question for both of you. So since Jamie has answered the last question last, he gets to answer the next question last. When it comes to the to-do list, I know that we all have those to-do lists in various places. It could be on our phone, could be, where we pull out a stylus and we write something on our phone and document and stick the stylus back up on the phone and put it away. Could be on a magnet dry erase board that's on our fridge that you get up at 2:00 in the morning, you sit there and go, oh, there's an idea. You're going down to get your water in the middle of the night, you write an idea down. Or it could be on one of those big 6 by 8 foot whiteboards just off to the side. Where is your to-do list? How big is it right now? And what do you think the next thing you can cross off of it is?
Well, first of all, we try to keep things simple and focused, so it's not as long as you might think. We know that there's a ton that we need to do, but I live by the Pareto principle. 20% of that list gets 80% of my work done, right? So we focus on really what's in front of us right now, coming out, talking to the public, listening to them, getting feedback. We're talking through a survey that we're going to get out next week, and which is going to give us some really good information in stadium experience, which helps us kind of get to the point of, where might we play? But obviously, I think that's the biggest, thing for us to address for the community is where do we play, and then start to build around that. Next would be, how do we actually represent the New Orleans from a local ownership perspective? Who wants to be a part of this? And as you know, it's very important in soccer to have local experience. Maybe not on the largest brands, but in a league like ours, where again, it's all about the community. How do we use these tools to make our community better? It's important for us to actually surround ourselves with local ownership. So those are the two biggest from my perspective. And then weave in a whole bunch of stuff. It's not little, because every single one of those things that we have to do kind of leads up to that ultimate question to answer, but there's, if we just, you know what I mean? It's just, we got to just focus on that.
So then, Jamie, where is your to-do list? And is it the same one that Warren has been talking about, or do you have other stuff as well that you're adding to and paying attention to as well?
Yeah, totally. I think, Warren and I are very complimentary to one another. We are attached at the hip on kind of everything that we're doing, but we also divide and conquer on some things and then circle back as we're running down kind of some maybe unique individual swim lanes. So I guess outside of what Warren and just mentioned, other things that are on my individual brain that complement our process are how can we start to get out and be part of the fabric of the community now, right? What is the macro event schedule that we can just go pop up and just start to engage folks one-to-one? Build, that's another key learning from a prior question you asked is, when we were launching LAFC, kind of a very similar phase of where we are now here with USL NOLA, one of the things that we did was we were intentional by not spending any advertising dollars. We said we want to go have, we want to be at every event possible, and we want to go have one-on-one conversations with thousands of people, and we want to invite those folks to join us on the journey. And so I think that paid off in spades, if you will, looking back on that. And so that's one of the things that we're definitely going to emulate here is how do we get out into the community now, start building unique and authentic relationships with all pockets of the community, and just starting to ask people to come along for the ride with us, right? Get behind us, get alongside us actually, and start to speak to their networks and start to ask other folks to just be aware of what we're up to. They may not be soccer fans today, right, outside of folks' network, but at the end of the day, if they just start to follow us and get more familiar with what we're up to, hopefully over time we can get them to come to a game and then we can change their mind.
So then, Jamie, time for the promo on Bayou Diplomacy. For those that want to keep an eye on what's going on with USL NOLA, how do they do it?
Well, you can go to our website. We've got a live and active website, www.uslnola.com. And then we've got our social handles. Same thing, USL NOLA on Instagram, USL NOLA on Twitter, etc. So, and we're trying our best right now to be active and pushing content out. And we're trying to celebrate the game at all levels right now, in our league, locally. And then we're trying to start to figure out what our localized New Orleans community events that we can start to get out and push some authentic content to celebrate the community at large. That's going to be what you start to see from us on a consistent basis, on a go-forward basis.
Jamie Guin, Warren Smith, heading up the USL NOLA project. Looking forward to seeing them come into the USL in very short order, even though 2025 seems like a long way away. It's not. Gentlemen, thanks for hanging out with us for a Soccer Downer 2v1. We will be keeping an eye, and we will check back in. Thanks again, y'all.
Thank you,
John. See you, man.
God bless.